Hey mom, can I have a quarter? Hey, Frigorn here. I got a second build from Path of Exile 2. I've been working on a Blood Mage. So, what kind of got me thinking about this build first was the ascendancy that lets you inflict bleed with everything you hit, whether it's fire damage or cold or lightning or chaos, all scaling the magnitude of the bleed. Um, the build didn't turn into what I kind of originally envisioned because what I've learned through Path of Exile 2 playing this character is that bleed is not super good in the current state in Path of Exile 2. It's way stronger in regular Path of Exile. Um, the the way it scales is just much smaller. Let me see if I can find a bleed here for you. Um, where's Okay, so here's the lacerate support. Gives a chance to inflict bleeding. We'll take a look at bleed. So it deals physical damage over time, lasts 5 seconds. That's all very good. It bypasses energy shield. That's good. Can be aggravated, which is nice. But the problem is, as we get down to the base magnitude, the base magnitude of bleeding is physical damage per second, equal to 15% of the damage hit that inflicted it. It's using the final damage, so if it crits, it does more damage. If it, all of those things impact how big the bleed is. The problem is that number 15. I don't have the math 100% in my head, but I believe in Path of Exile 1, bleeding is a base 70% of the physical hit over 4 seconds. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I remember. I haven't looked at those numbers in a while. So if you think of that with like 100, say your hit's 100 damage, you're going to get another 70 over 4 seconds in Path of Exile 1. That's big. So one hit does 100 damage, the bleed kicks in, it's going to do 170 damage total. In this version, one hit does 100 damage. You're going to kick in 15 extra damage, so 115. So it's already base very small. Got an aggravate in here somewhere too. I want to show that. Where are my skeletons? I am trying to scale this still. I'm using the aggravate bleeding on my skeletons. Okay. Bleeding deals an extra 100% of damage while the target's moving or if the bleed has been aggravated. So the bleed will do more damage when they're moving. So it's basically double damage. I believe in Path of Exile 1 it's triple. I think aggravated bleeding or targets moving while bleeding in Path of Exile 1 go from 70% of the damage hit up to 210. So bleeding just took an enormous nerf going from Path of Exile 1 to Path of Exile 2. Um, you can barely see it. If I get a big bleed on a boss, even with a or not a boss, but a rare, with my Detonate Dead, which is a strong physical hitting ability, does 20% of the corpse's life. Um, More magnitude of the bleed, and my skeleton's aggravated by hitting the target. Um, it just ticks slow. You can see the bar just ticking like this. It's not like it was in Path of Exile 1 where you use a loaded snipe on a bow attack and hit a massive bleed and then aggravate that with the old pinning shot or whatever it was called in Path of Exile that made all targets act like they were moving. So you got that 210% bonus of the 70% hit, and you just watch their life bar go down to nothing. This is just a trickle, even with a little scaling. So I'll show you how I am scaling my character, and I do have plenty of stuff that would benefit the bleed. Um, a lot of a lot of these are in there. I actually am getting more out of this just because of the 25% physical damage, and this because of the crit bonus. It's just good for my spells, so I'm using it. Um, breaking armor, more bleed, more physical damage. So I have a lot of scaling in that. I'm also working into this physical damage. I am all physical damage as a build. So bleed kind of stinks right now. If somebody's able to come up with a method to scale it better, it may be really cool to take this ascendancy, which I don't even have yet. But as far as I can tell, there's no way you're going to find a spell that can scale bleeding better than Detonate Dead. If you can get big corpses, and by doing that you would use your own corpses with the sacrifice and use skeletal brutes and get their life up in that 40,000 range, then you would get 20% of that. So say you can get their life and they're active all the time. You can use your own skeletal brutes as corpses when you have the sacrifice persistent going. So say you had a 40,000 life skeletal brute. Well, 20% of that, and you can tell, is a lot. So 20% of 1,000 is 200. So just do the math. You're going to go way high. Taking that up to like 8,000 base damage. And let's just look at my highest level skill currently right now, a level 17 Bone Storm. Bummer that this has a physical tag and doesn't actually scale levels, but the deals physical damage equal to 20% of corpse's life doesn't change regardless of whether the gem is level 10 or level 12 or 13. Only the fire damage goes up, which is nothing. If you're talking about a 40,000 point corpse doing 8k damage, that extra 40 to 70 fire is non-existent. So that would not function with this node whatsoever. You'd still just want to do as much physical damage as possible. So you could do that and probably apply a relatively strong bleed. That may be the way to try to scale this, and I may try that later in the game. But what I've found that works so good is Bone Storm is just a beast of a spell. I have it linked with more damage because the cast speed I don't care about. It channels plenty fast. I'll do a demonstration here. Boom. Ton of bones right there. And how I get it to channel so fast is linked with scatter shot. So you get two extra projectiles. So if I take this out, it's gonna scale one projectile at a time. It takes way longer to get up to max. But with this on, it just comes, it's like crazy fast. It's got to be 66% faster basically, which is super nice for quality of life. On boss fights, I haven't tried it yet, but you may want to take it off because if you have time to scale that up, it does go from 3125 down to 2000. So it nerfs the damage a lot, but it doesn't seem to matter on big hits. I just have it linked with more physical damage too for now, so pretty good. And for some reason this skill is not showing up in the tooltip. 2039, 2039 makes no sense. It's either bugged or it's not actually doing anything, but that's what I've got in there for now. Other skills that I'm using, a Bone Blast from the wand. This is crap, it doesn't do anything. I have a link to Spell Echo, so I get 2 attacks or 2 casts with it. It's a nice decent AoE, but compared to the Bone Blast or the Bone Storm, it is not even close to the DPS. I'll do a little playthrough demonstration. You get Life from Armament as your first ascendancy. A lot of people were saying don't take that. Well, I just leveled with minions doing all my damage and then respected my self-cast once I got this up and running. So this is just fine with minions. I was just dropping flame walls and letting my arsonists do all the killing for me. So I just leveled as a different skill until I was able to switch. The leech is fantastic. Once you get 10% damage leech's life, your health doesn't ever even seem to drop. Right now I'm at 2484 because I picked up some life remnants. Leech like crazy. Other skills that I'm using. Skeletal Warrior, right now I have 6. I have a little modification I do with this depending upon if I'm clearing trash or fighting bosses. So these guys are very important. You have to have a couple with Bone Storm because the text reads, conjure a swarm of bones, fire them at enemies and explode. Shrapnel lodges in the enemy's hit, each causing the next attack against that enemy to deal additional damage. So the skeleton's job is to attack the enemy that I hit with the Bone Storm to proc the additional damage. So it's 106, 107 to 161 physical damage. That's per bone too, and these can shotgun. And then I also get another 88 to 132 per bone from the skeletons hitting the enemy that I've shot. So I need some skeletons. You have to play this Bone Storm skill with something that's doing attacking. You could do a weapon swap to a crossbow, fire your own attack if you wanted to, but it's not a problem to have a few skeletons. I get them out with spirit from my amulet, spirit from my chest, and then the spirit you get along the way on the quest. So back to skills. I use Temporal Chains as my curse. It seems the best slower bosses since I'm kind of moving around channeling. It's nice to have them slowed. Gives me a little more time to do my thing. Detonate Dead. This is where the real magic comes in. So this doesn't do anything versus bosses because there's 99% of the time there's no corpses around. I'm not using sacrifice or my own minions as corpse, and my skeletons don't have much life. But for clearing, this is fantastic. I really don't need it because I have Snake Pit. I spent a little currency and bought this ring. It's very nice. Lots of extra cast speed, lots of extra damage. The key is if it's in that slot right there, my projectiles chain. If I move it over here, they fork. So depending upon where it's at, they do a different thing. The forking and the chaining are nice because they really help with clear, but once I added Detonate Dead, you wouldn't absolutely not need this ring. I may sell it and buy one that's has more resistances or something else useful on it, because I use Detonate Dead now. As soon as I kill a guy in a pack with Bone Storm, I switch to Detonate Dead and I just go pop pop pop, and this thing just mows down packs. It's crazy good. I got Bone Cage in there, a little extra pinning just in case I don't ever click it, and I got Bone Offering, which is really nice if I'm in a boss fight and I want my skeletons to not die. I can pop that and then they completely avoid the next hit. They also do a nice chunk of damage. This explosion, when they're hit, they trigger this explosion. Does a nice chunk of damage, so it's pretty good. I use that with more stun build up. Oh, excuse me, that's the wrong one. I use that with the fonts, which is nice. So I get more mana, regen, and life regen when I impale one of these guys. So right now everybody here is regenning. Excuse me. So those are the skills. Pretty simple. Okay, my little trick here is all about spirit management. So when I'm fighting a boss, I want cast on critical. This thing stinks in trash clearing. The amount of energy you build up is non-existent. However, in a boss fight, it builds up crazy fast. So just about every single channel of Bone Storm will release for me in Io Winter, and I use Impetus to get a little more energy out of it. So what this does is next to no damage. I don't care about that. I care about one line of text on here, and that is inflicts critical weakness on hit. So this hits a lot. It shoots out a lot of little projectiles. Even one of them hits a guy plenty times. Critical weakness increases the hit chance of targets by 0.5%, can stack up to 20 times. So this quickly takes my base crit from my Bone Storm from 15 to 25. And as you can see right now, I am critting at 43%. So you're going to add about another, what's 43 divided by 3? That's 15, not quite 15, something like 13. So it's going to take me up to that, into that 60-ish, 55-ish, 60-ish range of chance to crit. So quick math in my head, I might be wrong. Anyway, can't wait for Path of Building 2 to come out so I can get all this data for real. All right, that's the build's skills. I'm gonna do a little gameplay in a minute and show you how it goes. Gear wise, you scale the damage by using level of all physical spells. I got a decent wand. I think I bought this for a couple of exalts just to get me through the campaign. I'm coming up on the end of the campaign now. The extra damage is cold and lightning is not very helpful. Main things on there is level. A little cast speed is nice. A little extra spell damage is nice. And then I basically use defenses, except for this ring, which I probably don't need. I could probably go even more tanky and just use my my Detonate Dead to clear instead of letting the chains from this help clear. Helm is evasion, energy shield base, little resistances, extra life is good. Amulet, wanted the spirit, got a little crit chance. Other than that, pretty ho-hum. Shield, life, little extra resistances, little extra strength. I did buy this on purpose with a high block chance. I think I paid 1 exalt for this. That's all I cared about was extra block. I do have 42% chance to block. Block is really nice. Little armor, no evasion. Lightning resist is terrible right now, but the others are fine. Like I said, spirit and on the chest and the amulet are good. This is cheap. I think I found this one. Got this ring, a little extra cast speed, little cold resistance, little chaos resistance, little life and mana. The accuracy and the leech do nothing for me. Gloves, little life, little mana. The dex does nothing. The physical 2 attacks does nothing. Couple of ho-hum resistances. Boots, a little movement speed, little resistances. And a belt with a little resistances and a little life, a little armor. So nothing in this gear is important, and like I said, you could replace this 1 divine ring with a 1 exalt ring, easy peasy, and be just fine with this playstyle. So making this build cost probably 10 exalts with this ring gone. It's a little more with that ring there. So let's do a little look at the passive tree, and then I'll do a little play style. So I just went up, grabbed I needed dex at first and haven't even switched it out. I don't need that anymore. I could drop it. I take as much intelligence as I need to use my item, and right now I'm overcapped. I have too much, but I can switch that out later. So spell damage, physical damage, grit. A little extra mana, cast speed, regeneration. I do take this to keep my minions alive just a little bit better, and they revive a little more. It's a little more life, a little more revival. Then I go up through here, and it's all crit. This is spell crit. Work my way up here. This is spell crit. I take this intelligence just because I'm there and handy. I'm going to be making my way down here, getting more physical damage and more crit. My jewels are non-existent. Most of them have a little bleed, a little stun build up, a little physical damage, but they're nothing special. Very cheap. All of these are 1 exalt a piece, but basically nothing special. So from there, I worked my way over here. This is an all physical damage area and some crit. Breaking armor is very nice. So my spells break armor when I crit. And then the extra bleed stuff, which I'm not scaling. This is all physical damage and bleed and crit. I did go up here for my minions, get a little more reservation efficiency, a little defense, a little extra life. Down through here is more crit. This is just a little bit of recovery with recoup. I may stack more of that in endgame if I need to, depending upon how much damage I take. Right now I'm fine, I don't need any. Should show you that skeleton gem quick since I got it. Skeletons, so I don't care about their damage at all. They're just hitting an attack for the sole purpose of triggering the additional damage from my Bone Storm. So I just link them with Meat Shield for more life. I link them with Elemental Army for more res. And then I'm having them aggravate bleeding. I probably won't keep this if I can't figure out how to scale bleed or build into scaling bleed. Okay, oh yeah, on my life remnants. So this is an active aura, persistent. I just link it with mana regen and a little regen life. Very simple. Spirit wise, I got 13. So I am at a boss right now. I'm at Narug's hut. I don't think she's a boss. I think she's a rare, so this is not going to take long. So for bosses, what you have to do with this build is you have to drop your skellies. I can go down to 3. Drop your Grim Feast. And that gives me exactly 100 spirit to activate my cast on crit. Eye of Winter, critical weakness of infecting proc. And if everything works right in this fight, I should be able to spam her with that cast on crit. It's a little slower. Bone Storm. Yeah, she's not a boss. This is not proccing, but there it goes. So now her critical weakness is at 1.5. If she was a unique, that would be going out way more. But, she's dead. So, it's very strong, that cast on crit. Now when I'm going back to my regular abilities, I'm gonna dump this, and activate this. Move these guys back up to 6. And now I'm on for a regular clearing of trash. So I just kill a guy, and then I go pop, 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 pop. That's all detonate dead. So that's why I don't need the snake pit, because that pack clearing is fast and strong. Oh, where is my... And I'm going to kill a guy. And I'm going to pop him. Once you get one guy dead in the front of the pack, chances are you can just chain detonate the whole pack behind it and absolutely smoke the pack. I don't have to play like that. I could play with Bone Storm and just continue to channel it and cast it. But I like the pops to detonate dead. I'll give you a little just Bone Storm. Bone Storm's a little more clunky. You actually have to aim it. So I usually mainly for a bosser. Detonate Dead is way better in my opinion for pack clear. Not that Bone Storm is bad. It's very strong. But I have so much life because of the Sanguimancy. Life remnants. You pick them up and you get 232 life from those little red dots. They can double my life. So my base is 1839. It doubles when I pick up life remnants. So this is a life remnant right there. And I can have double my max life. I'm going to actually switch this character to try and play on a gamepad, like a Xbox gamepad. See how I like that. I'm playing click to move right now, and I think it would probably be better if I was playing this with a WASD or on a controller. But you can see how kind of a pain in the butt all this targeting is. Well, we sell that by doing that. We only need one dead monster in the area. And we can. That's boss. Skeletons tank for you. It's very nice. They block people. This build is super safe. Since I made the switch to Bone Storm, I don't think I've died. I just love that. It's so good. I don't know if this zone has a real boss. It'd be nice to find one. Oh, if you see these little green guys that I'm picking up, those are life remnants from the Grim Feast. They buff my energy shield. They restore it. Picking up one of those Grim Remnants just gives me 95 energy shield. So between that and Sanguimancy life remnants, I'm just picking up all kinds of health recovery just by walking around. And I'm leeching 10% of my spell damage. It's just too easy. Sometimes I'll purposely kite a pack into a pack of corpses that I've created from a previous pack, just to blow them up for fun. If I can do that here. Nope, looks like I've reached the end of the trail.
Splinters of bone.
So my previous build was a warrior warbringer doing totems. Much more passive playstyle, just walking along, plopping your totems down. This is much more active. So you can see the difference there. That damage was a crit, and they just melted. If you don't crit, it doesn't instantaneously melt the pack. But fortunately, I crit a lot. And I'm going to be adding more crit chance, and when I get my third trial, this is going to be big, another huge chunk of crit, and I'm going to take this, grasping wounds for more defense. I'm not going to bother with blood right now, and I never will bother with blood. Even if I decide to go with the bleed build, I can scale it off the physical damage of the detonate dead using my giant skeletal brutes. Is a lot better than scaling it off some kind of elemental damage, so that ascendancy's magnitude is useless in my opinion. Who knows, maybe somebody will find a way to make a giant comet build or something that does good, but even a comet doesn't even touch the damage of a 40,000 health corpse exploding. So that is yet to be seen what I do with it. Still loving this game. It's fantastic. All these different things to try and test. I will probably make a monk next. Still haven't played a monk class. Like I said, I made a warbringer with totems and then this guy. No aiming. Detonate dead. Just goes pop, pop, pop. Very nice. And that's probably enough gameplay for this. So hopefully you like this video, and if you do, please hit the subscribe and like button down below and expect more content. This is level 64, end of the campaign. I'm winding my way through Act 3 of Cruel. We'll do some more updates once I start mapping on this build. Hopefully it keeps performing the way I expect it will. Alright, thanks for watching.